Hey there everybody, Mazarok here, and today I'm talking key bindings, especially for Prot Warrior. Now this is applicable to all tanks. This has been a very requested video, by the way, but just the general guidelines and my ideology behind my keybinds and how I'm able to kind of press the buttons that I press, how I press the buttons that I press, things like that. And we're going to go over all of that because I obviously, if you look here, I have a lot of different keybinds for a lot of different things. We have to go over some disclaimers though. This is not the picture perfect way for everyone to play. I'm not saying everyone has to copy this system or anything like that. I'm making this video so you can make informed decisions or take ideas from what I do and apply it to your own gameplay, okay? You don't need to copy everything that I do and run it for yourself. That's not what this is at all, but take what I say and apply some good ideas for your gameplay. For me, these are all good ideas for my gameplay. It might be for you, it might be bits and pieces, and that's perfectly fine. Number two, this is the big disclaimer, and this every time I see people change their keybinds within 24 hours, I hear this all of the time. I can't believe I'm playing worse. I can't do this. Oh my god, this is so much worse than it was before. Yes, it is. Want to know why? Because you're trying to reprogram muscle memory. And reprogramming muscle memory is not an easy thing to do. It takes time. It takes practice. The longer you've been playing this game with your keybinds that are currently set up, when you try and change them, you don't realize, but your taunt button has been on the same button for a long time. If you've changed that keybind, it's going to take some time to change the way that your brain reacts to your fingers on which buttons to press. That's going to happen. That's normal. It's okay. You are going to play worse for a small period of time after you've done a bunch of keybind changes. It's perfectly normal and it's fine. Practice it. Get better at it. Hit some dummies. Make up scenarios in your head. Like, if you've changed where your taunt is, randomly just be like, oh crap, gotta taunt this. And just work it out in your head and keep practicing that. The more you practice it, the faster it's going to be. And then once you've built up the muscle memory for those keybinds, it's going to be a lot better for you. Alright, before we get into the ideologies of the keybindings, please do like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for all the support. We are like 30 subs away at this point from 6K, like crushing that end of the year goal, which I had to elevate from 5K already. Thank you so much, everybody. So hit that like, comment, subscribe button. Leave your own keybind tips down below as well. I would love to hear what you guys do, what you guys think, and all the weird little things that people do to make the game work for themselves. I think that is actually a genuinely interesting topic of discussion. There's a Patreon link down below if you wish to support me directly, and without them, videos like this cannot get done, so thank you so much. If there's any weak auras or any LVOI profiles or anything you want, you can get those through my Patreon in one nice big docket. You can just go find the Prot Warrior section, Blood DK, whatever you want. It's all there. You can, however, get them for free in my Discord as well, but you gotta dig in the Weak Auras channel. It's a fairly popular channel, so you gotta go digging, but they are there for free. But if you want the convenience of getting everything in nice one packet, Patreon. There's some t-shirts for sale as well. T-shirts, long sleeves, hoodies. Blood DK, I'm the healer now. You can get your I don't want to calm down, I want a raid shirt, or I only do dungeons fully erect at the Teespring link down below. And lastly, I stream on Twitch. If you want to come by, ask questions, hang out, have a good time, come on by and check me out on stream. All right, so for that, intro is done. Let's get into the key bindings, but for that, you're going to stop seeing my face, and we're going to switch the camera over to the keyboard and mouse. Alright, so as you can see right off the bat, I am using an MMO mouse. I do use a Red Dragon 12-button MMO mouse. I really enjoy this. It allows to give me the button control that I really like. And what I've had to do is reprogram this mouse to allow the extra buttons to be my numpad buttons and these ones right here. Because I didn't want the same buttons to be pressed. If I want to press one, I want to press one on my keyboard and not press one on my mouse. So that way I can maximize the amount of key bindings possible. So as I'm going through here, and you can see on my screen where I have is number 1 is charge, then I have execute, thunderclap, and shield block. These are very common abilities that I use all of the time that I want to be able to press while I am continuously moving or whatever have you not, so they're all easy access. Once we start getting to the 5 button, so this is shockwave, something I press a little bit less frequently, but common and still easy to get to. Then we get to taunt. Now taunt is on 6, but I've also reprogrammed it for C here. And one thing, if you are playing alts, you're going to want to always keep the same buttons on the same thing. So on all of my tanks, taunt is C. Does not change. It is the same on every single tank, no matter what. Then we get to 7 and 8. These are actually, let me move over here, my scroll wheel, right? So I have taken the camera off my scroll wheel and put it on the up and down buttons of the arrow, which I do not use ever. So just one scroll up. So a scroll up is heroic leap, boom, and I have my mouse exactly where I want. Shift scroll up is shield charge. So shift scroll up and I'm immediately shield charging in. Nice and easy. And then I have ignore pain, which is actually scroll back. So if I scroll back, I ignore pain. If I scroll up, I heroic leap. Now, the thing with this and the way that I like to have this set up is if I'm scrolling up and down on tanks, I want something to be a clickable cast and something to just be something I can use. So I'm not accidentally using too many abilities at once. My middle button on the scroll wheel is actually my kick button, and it is my kick button on every single one of my tanks. This is just kind of how I like it and how it works out for me. And then my spammable buttons, as we get to the last of this action bar, is Revenge and Shield Slam, which are the 2 buttons that I press the most, which are actually my 1 and 2 button on the keyboard here, so I can easily press them with my mouse, with my fingers, sorry. And then I can easily move around, have extra buttons, and I can be moving around while I am, doing what I need to do. And I have maximum control over my fingers with this type of setup, and I can do a lot more, right? Because sometimes if you're moving and you're kind of trying to move around, you want to work around. Now, for me, one thing I am going to be doing, and this is one thing that I am going to be practicing, is I'm actually taking the A and D off my keybinds. I'm just going to unbind them and get used to not having it because I move around with the mouse more than anything. I'm just still trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. I might actually move Q and E over to be my strafe buttons because I tend to strafe a lot using A and D and just holding the mouse down, so I could probably just move my E down to my D and my Q down to my A and just use those for strafes and not have to worry. But one of the things you're going to want to get used to doing is moving around with your mouse. So if you left click, your character will stay forward and you can move your camera around. If you right click, your character will move, and you can actually use this to move around a little bit quicker. So let's say you're in combat but you need to turn around. You can turn around and kind of prepare for something and then immediately right click and your character will move with you. This is really good for like the Razageth fight where the boss will sometimes appear behind you and you need maximum camera view. So you can still be hitting your buttons and moving around and looking around with the camera to see where Razageth is going to come, and then you can immediately turn and move to the way that you need to get out of the way or whatever have you not. That's really good for camera control. After that, I have keybound things like R. R is one of my heals, right? On no matter what tank that I play, R tends to always be a heal. I have scroll bound as well, control, and my scroll wheel, so that way I can easily place a revenge. I really like placing ground-based abilities with going up on my mouse, because that way I can literally just instantly have my mouse where I want it, and scroll wheel up, or whatever have you not, and it's quite literally like, I know where it's going, I can easily place something without having to press a button. And it's all because it's all in one fluid motion with the one finger, right? That to me is very, very good, but you can do that as you will. F, I enjoy being a stun button for me. On whatever tank that I play, I enjoy F being a stun, a single target stun. It just works very, very well. And after that, I have my These are pretty much always my DPS cooldown. So here I have Thunderous Words and Avatar, and I can work that around. And then I have defensives in the back, like Shield Slam, Last Stand, Rally, and I can work out the weird things later. So here I have a Heroic Throw, my bad, right back here. And then here I have my Berserker Rage, and I can move things around. And then I have some other keybinds here at the bottom. So my defensives on my MMO mouse are my 2 upwards buttons right here, which I would like to keep on all the same thing going on all of the tanks. So like N3, my 3rd button here, numpad 3, is Demo Shout. On my Blood DK, it's Icebound Fortitude and Vamp Blood, right? So try to keep things as similar as you can and work things around as best you can. Now this MMO mouse is my 12 button. You can use a 2-sided mouse and use Shift and Control options on your side here, Shift and Control, to change that. So out of 2 buttons, you can actually keybind 6 things. 8 if you want to use Alt as well, but I find Alt is a little awkward for me to press, and I use it for push to talk or push to mute scenarios, depending if I'm on stream or whatever have you not, because sometimes I answer questions on stream and my party just doesn't need to hear it, so I'll push to mute and things like that. So that's very, very easy for me, but I tend to only be answering stuff on stream or pushing to talk when things really aren't going on. That I have several ways that I can hit all of my buttons. Let's move that over. I have several ways that I can move all of my use all of my buttons, and really have an easy time controlling, moving around, jumping, hitting 2 buttons at once, because here I can easily hit Shield Slam and Shield Block at the exact same time. I can easily hit Thunderclap and Ignore Pain by scrolling back and hitting 3 at the same time, right? And this is going to maximize your performance, especially as a warrior where you have so many abilities that just aren't on the GCD. So that way you can have a lot better button control. And I know a lot of people aren't a fan of hitting constant buttons on your MMO mouse and using them more for cooldowns, and that's perfectly fine as well. I really like the thumb play. I'm very much okay with that, but here I can hit a button on my mouse as well as a button on my keyboard, or I can use my scroll wheel and my keyboard, or my scroll wheel and the side button mouse. There's so many different ways that I can kind of accomplish this ideology of keybinding or whatever have you not, and really just have quick movements, constant movements, and play at a very high actions per minute, a high APM. Another thing that you're going to want to do is keybind your extra action button. Now for me, it is Shift R. Shift R is my extra action button, so no matter what I'm doing, I can always hit it and work it and use it very, very quickly, which to me is very, very nice, and I just have an easy time doing that. But that is the way that I like to operate. My health pots are on control space. It's something that I don't have to hit very often, but I can. And then my challenging shout is on a shift and downward motion with my mouse. So that way it's very easily accessible, and because I don't want to be using as 2 fingers as, like, if I'm hitting shift, I don't like hitting shift 1, 2, 3, because then I lose all of my movement. So I would rather hit shift and then scroll wheel and separate it from the hands, because this way I can still move and hit my taunt. I can move while hitting revenge, and you know, you're literally unlimiting your, how do I put this? You're not putting as much strain on making weird hand movements when you're doing it the way that I do. And like I said, you can hate it, you can love it, this can be for you, this could absolutely not be for you. This is what works for me and allows me to play at a very high action per minute with Warrior. And it took me some time to get used to this, but I really, really enjoy this setup. So with that, that's kind of what I got for you here. If you have any ideas, tell me how you guys do it. I would absolutely love to hear. But thank you very much for my patrons for making videos like this happen. Have yourselves a good day, and thank you very much for listening. Bye.